everyone. Just figuring out my lighting as per usual. Got some little dusties around. I think it's the dark background with the light. I don't know. I literally can't figure it out. But welcome back to LA. We are back in the vortex, and yeah, it's been really good. I mean, I've been just adjusting to the energies here, and it's a lot of people, lots of chemtrails, like just a crazy amount of chemtrails. But also, like, I went to, I think it was yesterday, because what is time, but I went to Larchmont with my friend Phil, and as I'm parking my motorcycle, I'm just overhearing the conversations, and they are like, just like, I think being in a small town for like 6 months and then coming back to Los Angeles is such an eye opener. And this guy was talking to this other guy, like a street vendor who was selling sage, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm really taking my health and well-being seriously, and I'm really focusing on water these days, and I'm getting my water imported from this mountain in Fiji or whatever." And I'm just like sitting back laughing at the fact that that's a conversation that's happening. So it's interesting, and it just really does feel like Southern California has so many people who are waking up, and at the same time, I mean, of course, we're right beside Hollywood. You've got this crazy polarity that's here, so it's been really fascinating kind of coming back in with super open eyes and a super kind of pure energy, and really kind of melding back with the people and the frequency. But I love it because half the people are walking around without masks. The other half the people are. But then you go to a restaurant and they're like, "Okay, cool. Where's your V card or whatever?" And I'm like, "Really?" Like, I didn't realize that California was really just as bad as Ontario. And as we were driving literally from coast to coast in North America, from East Coast to West Coast, pretty much every single state, the hotel workers were not wearing masks, which really surprised me. The only two states that I think we drove through that did have masks were New Mexico and California. Like, the more you got to the West Coast, which once again is really surprising because I thought that I mean, especially California was much more open than that. But I don't know politics. So the drive was good. It felt really long. And we literally left in a blizzard, and now it's like 28 degrees and sunny here in LA. So that's really a beautiful thing. I think we're like the youngest snowbirds to ever live, really. But it's a great life, and I'm also adjusting to the size of this place too. It's quite small. But we still have a patio, and it's really just so many trees and lemon trees around, and flowers, like blooming flowers all the time. So that you always have to have some sort of appreciation. I am wearing my light worker sweatshirt today, so I feel really good about that. It's actually this company called the Galactic Federation of Light, believe it or not. And basically, I inspired the owner to create this line, and all of their stuff is like super, third eye opening, and I feel like so happy that I can inspire people to create their own business, to get out there, to spread a message, and to really help spread the word, right? So yeah, if you want to check out their merch and their gear, you can, I believe it's Instagram handle gfl.earth, and then I think their website is the Galactic Federation of Light.earth as well. So check that out, .com, I think. So all right, so to get to it, today we are talking about starseeds and superpowers. I don't know about you, but like, I've always wanted to have superpowers. I really do feel like I have superpowers. Maybe they're not as, special or mystical or apparent as maybe superheroes, but having psychic abilities really does make you feel like you can tap into other worlds. And I truly believe, as I've always said, that I'm not special, that all of you, all of us, have the ability to also have superpowers. So that's what we're talking today is basically what are the superpowers that we can have, and then how do we attain them. So what I recommend for you is grab a piece of paper and a pen, because there is going to be a little bit at the end where I kind of go through the steps of how you can tap in to the collective. Okay, so the first thing I want to kind of dive into is what are the kind of superpowers that we could have and that we do have access to? So many, like so many cool ones. Telekinesis, teleportation / bilocation, mind reading, precognition, remote viewing, mediumship, energy healing, levitation, mind control, hopefully in an appropriate way, and weather or element manipulation. Now, what's incredible about all of these different superpowers is that there is one thing that we can all do in order to access all of these superpowers. So although I'm not going to be talking specifically about each of those superpowers, I'm going to talk about the one thing that I believe we can all do to tune into those frequencies. And what is that one thing? Okay, so the one thing is tapping into cloud consciousness, to the grid. Let me just kind of first explain what the grid is. There are many different grids or clouds. The other word that you could use for a cloud is the Akash. So the Akash or the Akashic records are basically an amalgamation of all of the knowledge and information throughout all space and time. So it's pretty vast. We have our own Akashic grid system or cloud system around our own bodies. So our soul holds all of our information from all past lifetimes and all future lifetimes. And then we also have a planetary grid system. And basically, very similar to our own aura and our own soul, the planet holds all of the information throughout all space and time around Mother Gaia, around planet Earth. And then we have kind of a universal grid system, which is all information throughout the entire universe, throughout space and time. Now, today I am specifically going to be talking about the planetary grid system. The reason why I was called to only focus on the planetary grid system is because it specifically correlates to what humans are capable of doing. And it's almost like the universal Akash or the universal cloud system is kind of like a foreign language to us. It's not that we wouldn't understand it. It's not that we can't tap into it. And one day I'm sure you will be tapping into the universal Akash. But for all of those, psychic abilities that I talked about, you want to be tapping into the planetary Akashic records. So think about it. It's kind of like going into a library where it has all information from all of the humans and all of their lifetimes and all of their experiences, and also, not to mention, all of the interdimensional beings who have ever been on this planet before, in the past and in the future, and it holds all of that information. There have been many human beings throughout history who are telekinetic, who can levitate, who can manipulate weather, who can tap into mediumship or mind control or precognition or remote viewing. So what I'm suggesting here is when we start to tap in to the collective Akashic record around planet Earth, and we gain access to that knowledge and wisdom, it essentially leads us to having the experience behind the knowledge and wisdom. And I want to talk about this because this is really, really important. And this is something that I have questioned and struggled to understand for many, many years. Not that I fully understand it today, not that I fully understand anything today, but this is really important. And thank you so much, Rico, for that beautiful super chat. And thank you. Welcome from the Netherlands. I know I have a huge support in the Netherlands, so shout out to the Netherlands and Australia, because you guys are awesome. Okay, so I want to explain this properly. There are two ways that a soul can become enlightened in the universe. One path is through knowledge, and one path is through experience. The frequency of knowledge is more divine masculine. The frequency of experience is more divine feminine. Not to gender something, okay, but it really does encompass the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies. Just because I'm a female body doesn't mean that I have a divine feminine energy. I definitely have more of that divine masculinity, but essentially we all have both in us. In order to become enlightened, if that's what you want to call it, in order to go through all of the levels of the universe, all of the different dimensions, to go back to source, we have to experience both the knowledge and the experience, all right? However, I want to tell you that knowledge is binary, which is so interesting. This is actually something I just channeled today, and I'm like, never thought about it that way before. Knowledge is binary in the way that you either know or you don't know. There really isn't a whole lot of in between. Experience is quantum. I could experience drinking a lemonade on all different levels. I could experience it physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? Experience is quantum. I just wanted to put that out there because I've actually never really thought about it. Okay. So what I believe is that our perception creates our reality. And I've been saying that for a long time, long before I was ever on YouTube. And so because I believe that our perception, which is essentially just our observation, creates the reality around us, how can you create something that you do not know exists? Therefore, in order to have an experience, you must have some semblance of knowledge. If I were to tell you guys, you can walk through walls, and I'm like, and I know this for a fact, right? Like, it's quantum mechanics. We can do this. If I were to tell you that you are psychic in the way that you can tap into future events, and I know this for a fact, and you trust in me, somewhere deep in that subconscious mind of yours, you are locking away that as a piece of information. Maybe it's a fact for you, maybe it's not. But that knowledge will lead you to having the experience of precognition or walking through a wall or what have you. Okay, so knowledge is really important. And I also want to mention too that the knowledge that I'm speaking about is at a very deep subconscious level. I want to tell you that when I channel information from interdimensional beings or from the collective Akash, whether it be my own or the planet or the universal Akash, I can only consciously interpret maybe 10% of it. The rest of the 90% gets stored away in my subconscious mind for later use. But when we download information and we store it in that subconscious area, it allows us to eventually have an experience. So it's a good example of this is like, there are trolls or haters or like people with negative energy on my channels. And they watch the whole video and they're like, EA, you're ridiculous, or you're whatever they want to call me. I'm just grateful that they showed up. Because even though their ego, even though their prior beliefs, even though their Catholic upbringing is really fighting me on this information, somewhere deep down, that information is being stored. And at a certain point, when it's relevant to that person, it will come out through an experience. What's incredible about having experiences is that's not for me to give you. There's no way that anyone can give anyone else an experience. Every single experience we have is personal, right? It's independent. all I can do is give you the knowledge to open the door, and you get to choose with your own free will if you want to walk through it, right? Once you have your own experience with the knowledge, even though you don't have to say, oh, I learned this 2 years ago. Once you have that experience, that now becomes your knowledge, right? And what's really incredible and also kind of difficult about spirituality is everything that I believe to be true, I have experienced. Therefore, that is the truth to me. The problem with a lot of teachers, okay, is that they learn from other teachers and they're just regurgitating knowledge. And I feel like that's why some people maybe really resonate with me opposed to other people, because I don't let any perceptions in. I don't let any other teachings from anyone else come into my subconscious. I keep it as clear as possible because I only know what I have experienced, and I feel confident in teaching that. All right, if that makes sense? So I wanted to kind of give you a little overview of knowledge versus experience. They're both extremely important, but in a certain way, the knowledge needs to come first. This is where downloading comes to play. All of those really awesome, cool psychic abilities, okay, are possible, but there needs to be some sort of knowledge coming through first in order to have the experience of, oh my goodness, I can do this too. I can heal myself too. That's why Reiki is so awesome, because some guy in the mountains developed this thing that really worked, and it's worked over and over and over again. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, everyone else is saying that this is real and legit, so I'm going to try it. Oh, and then I have an experience. Oh, and it's real and legit for me, or what have you. Okay? Okay, good. Yes. A couple things. If you don't know that it's possible, then it's not. If you believe everything is possible, then it is. Thank you so much, Tracy, for that super chat as well. So humans, we humans, are so limited by what is and what is not. Well, I am me, and I have blonde hair. So you are you, and you have brown hair. So we're different. Well, I am me, and I believe that I'm a light worker, and you are you, and you believe that you are a descendant from God, so we're different. It's always this, well, what is and what is not? But when you start getting into these higher vibrations, you start to realize that it all is. All of it. All possibilities. Both sides of the story exist simultaneously. There's no right or wrong. There's no what is and what is not. There's no light or dark. It's everything, all at once. And when you can get your mind around that, guess what you're doing? You're leaving all possibilities open. You're leaving all doors open. Thank you, Heather, for that beautiful super chat. That is liberation. That is freedom. To understand that everything is possible. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to get into how to tap into the Planetary Aka, and what you can kind of navigate and look for when downloading information. Before I get into that, I just want to mention I am so excited. Today is the first day, finally, that we are releasing the audio book. All right, so for all of you who have been really asking for the audiobook, it is finally released. I will say that we're still in review for Audible, so it's going to take maybe another week or two for Audible for you guys who use Audible to use your credit for the audiobook. Should be just fine though. For everyone else who wants to listen to it right away, basically you can download all of the chapters in an audio file. You can plug it into Spotify. You can put it into your iTunes music and listen to it right away. It's actually a pretty short listen, and I remember listening to the first, just kind of the first chapter, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to listen to more of this, which is crazy because I hate listening to myself. So it was so much fun to read, and it's definitely in my voice. So Yeah, so check that out. We actually also have the Audiobook Bundle. So for all of you who did not get the ebook bundle, which included 19 meditations, 19 pieces of homework, the digital oracle card deck, and of course the ebook, and you want to get the whole package, I highly recommend getting the audiobook. I think we're calling it the Mega Bundle for Black Friday. I think the value is at like $99, but it's just for $22. So for those of you who want to listen to the audiobook per chapter and then listen to the meditations after, I think the greatest value of that whole bundle, yes, definitely the book itself, but the meditations are incredible, but also the homework. 19 pieces of in-depth homework. If you want to get a kick on your new year, that's going to be the bundle that you want to check out. Also, just a quick aside, that we're also selling the audiobook just solo as well, so check that out. But like I said, you can wait for the Audible version if you want to use your credits. And we are offering, what is it called? EA gift certificates. So if you have someone in your life who is just waking up or who is really curious, you can get them a gift certificate even for like $20 for the website, and they can get 2 Galactic Federation summits or really anything else, webinars and other things that are available. So check that out. I'm just really happy that the audiobook is finally released, and I don't know if I told any of you, but I finished my book, and then I basically got a download that book wasn't ready for humanity yet. So I'm starting another book altogether, and I'm actually hoping that I can channel it and have it be done in the next month, which is insane, but I also think it's totally possible. The thing is, my last book, I couldn't even wrap my own head around it. So I'm like, how do I not only release this to humanity, but then teach about something that I don't even understand? So I'm leaving it. It's definitely not forgotten, but it's left. So I'm hoping that I can make my April 2022 deadline for the second one, but we will for sure see about that. All right, that's about it. Moving on. So how do we tap in? Yes. Okay, so how to tap into the Planetary Aka. This is where I recommend you get your pens, papers out. There's really just like 3 easy steps for that. Step number 1, when doing anything spiritually, is quiet your mind. All right, so just making sure that your mind is quiet, clearing all thoughts. For those of you who meditate on a regular basis or who find yourself very aware of your thoughts more often than not, then you're going to really have an easy time doing this. So that's step number 1, but it's always step number 1 is quieting your mind. Step number 2 is setting an intention. So specifically for this task, we are talking about tuning into the Planetary Aka. So the intention should be, I am ready with the highest vibration to tune in, to tap in, to connect with the planetary Akashic records, the planetary consciousness grid system, whatever you want to call it. And you can always change the words, but I always like the words I am ready and then highest vibration. And then specifically for this technique, you want to be asking to tune into the planetary Aka, like I said, or the consciousness grid around the planet, or however you want to call it, okay? Then you want to ask yourself what you're looking for. All knowledge, like maybe not all knowledge in the universe, but all knowledge on this planet exists in that planetary Aka. So what specifically are you asking for to tap into? Okay, the best analogy that I have for this is the movie The Matrix. And you know when, what is his name? Neo? Neo. You know when Neo gets plugged into the machine and then he's in this white room and then all of the things appear? Or he's getting trained in martial arts and he gets trained for like, an hour, but it's really like he got trained for like 10 years. That is exactly what the planetary Aka is, okay? So I highly recommend that you ask for something specific from the Planetary Akash. So if it's healing, like sometimes I just tune in and ask for healing in my body. And what's really interesting about asking for healing in my body is I will always get a couple of Instagram messages after I ask for healing, and they'll be from healers to say, "Hey EA, I just felt like you needed extra healing today, so I went ahead and did, some body work or energy work on you." And I'm like, "Damn, I just asked for that 2 hours ago." Right? So even though you might not get the validation that someone is helping you or working on you, it's instantly happening, okay, in your system. So please be aware of that. You're asking for healing. You're asking for knowledge of your past lifetimes. You're asking learning how to manipulate the weather. You're asking to tune into those precognitive abilities. Now, I want to tell you that when you actually receive a download or pieces of information from the Planetary Akash, or really from anywhere, everyone's system, everyone's body experiences that download in a different way. For me, because my primary kind of sixth sense is clairvoyance, it's all visual. Every single thing that I download usually has a visual aspect. Even when I get words, I see them visually, okay? Some of you are physical empaths, which basically means that when you tap in and you ask for a download or you ask to receive something, you'll feel it in your body. Some of you are clairaudient. Maybe you tap in and you ask for something and instantly you get this ringing and you're like, this isn't what I wanted. But at a deep subconscious level, you are receiving it. I'm telling you right now that you are receiving it. You may not have the veil as lifted right now, and you will. Maybe you want to ask to lift the veil in an appropriate way, okay? Yeah, it's just really important that you open that door as wide as you can handle, all right? I'm just going to say it that way. And so just be very open to how you experience that. It is not going to be the clear-cut visual of, being in the Matrix and getting trained in martial arts. It's not going to look like that, all right? It's not going to be as visceral as we're used to here in this physical reality. What you could also do is maybe set aside one day a week, like Sunday's my day, to download from the Akash, and you ask for different things, and you document the things that you're asking for, and you document the symptoms or experience that you have from downloading. Like, like last Sunday, my whole spine tingled, but this Sunday I got an instant headache, right? And then how did your week play out? Specifically aligned to that one thing. And I also recommend, if you really do want something big, like I want to release abundance blocks in my life. Guess what you can do? You can tune into the Akashic records of the planetary system. You can tune into the vibration of someone who is living or someone who has passed on, who was the most beautiful, high vibrational human, who was also extremely wealthy and abundant. And whatever lesson they learned is something that you can learn from. Okay? So it doesn't have to be like, I want to be telekinetic. It can be something super, super real. Realize that there are beautiful light workers and souls who have experienced a lot of lessons, and we can learn from them simply by downloading them. What I'm actually talking about here is imprinting. And if you don't know what imprinting is, it is essentially being able to read a book of a past lifetime or of someone else's or even your own experience to access the information, and with that knowledge comes the experience eventually. So what I recommend is, if you're going to do a weekly tapping into the collective, please stick to one topic or one intention that you have to download for at least 3 to 4 weeks. If you're jumping around all the time and you're getting disappointed and it's not happening, it's not what I want, then you're not surrendering and trusting long enough. All right? Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, last thing I want to mention. Just by knowing that it's possible, that you can do this, that you have access to infinite amounts of information at the tips of your soul, essentially allows you to do it. the knowledge, the belief, the knowing that it's possible will allow you to connect. All right? So I really believe in each and every one of you. I'm very excited to hear your journey on this. So please keep me updated in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe for more epic content. Stay sane, Starseeds. Keep up the good work. And just remember that not every day has to be lived in the fifth dimension. Because the second we have to deal with a flat tire or paying rent or whatever is the second that you can get thrown back into 3D, and that's okay too. We are still physical beings and we are still definitely dealing with a physical life. So surrender to it, enjoy it, take those small moments out to really just be present with yourself. All right? Until next time, I will see all of you in the fifth dimension frequency.